Coming up on News 11, we have special coverage of the Russian invasion of Ukraine and what other countries are doing about it. New York Governor Kathy Hochul is once again looking into masking in schools, and a verdict has been reached in the Ahmaud Arbery case. These stories and more, News 11 starts right now.
Was he filming for New York Times?
Good evening and welcome to News 11. I'm Topher Elkins.
And I'm Chloe Kowalik.
We have breaking news out of the ongoing crisis in Ukraine tonight. The situation is still ongoing with updates coming in constantly. Early Thursday local time, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that there would be a military operation in Ukraine. Soon after, explosions could be heard and reported in multiple cities in the Ukraine, including Kyiv and Kiev. The attacks officially began around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time last night and included over 160 launched Russian missiles during the onslaught. According to a United States defense official, the included attack included short-range missiles as their primary weapon. However, the number also included, quote, medium-range ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, surface-to-air missiles, and sea-launched missiles from the Black Sea, end quote. Russian forces have already crossed the border and have begun invading Ukraine, and over 40 Ukrainians have already been killed. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has already issued a mandatory curfew for 10 p.m. local time in the country. He also warns that Russia is attempting to seize the nuclear power plant of Chernobyl. Ukraine diplomats have also announced that they do not have enough military equipment to defend themselves. In the United States, Joe Biden addressed the public today, saying Putin had a flagrant violation of international law and that the U.S. will not deploy troops.
Our forces are not and will not be engaged in the conflict with Russia in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight in Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies and reassure those allies in the East. As I made crystal clear, the United States will defend every inch of NATO territory with the full force of American power. And the good news is, NATO is more united and more determined than ever.
President Biden has also asked gas companies not to hike their prices in lieu of the event.
Other countries have already announced their approaches to supporting Ukraine. United States President Joe Biden has met with the G7 allies this morning in order to map out the more severe measures in what Biden has said was a premeditated war against Ukraine. United Kingdom Prime Minister Boris Johnson has promised a, quote, massive package of sanctions. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said Russia's invasion of Ukraine will have, quote, far-reaching consequences and cannot go unpunished, end quote. In a nationally televised address in Madrid, he called on Russian President Vladimir Putin to, quote, put an end to an immediate end to hostiles and revoke Russia's recognition of territories in Ukraine. European Union leaders have been considering what some are calling the nuclear option of removing Russia from SWIFT, a high network that connects thousands of financial institutions around the world following the invasion of Ukraine. All flights have been told to avoid the area, leaving the airspace over Ukraine empty. The European Union Aviation Safety Agency warned Thursday that, quote, the presence of the possible usage of a wide range of ground and airborne warfare systems poses a high risk for civil flights operating at all altitudes and flight levels, end quote.
We were able to speak to Fredonia history professor Dr. John Staples, who specializes in Russian history and politics, in order to have a better understanding of what exactly is happening on the Eastern Hemisphere.
So with that, it seems to me that there has been an effort apparent already by 2007, very clear by 2012 or 13, by Russia to reassert its influence in what it regards as the near abroad, countries we sometimes call part of the former Soviet Union. And Ukraine has been a critical target of that, as Russia has tried to regain dominance in this region. It has seen Ukraine as an important target, both because of Ukraine's economic importance. It's the second largest country by territory in Europe. It has the seventh largest European population, I think. It has major natural resource holdings, important agricultural sectors. For all of these reasons, it's an economic target. but it's also kind of an ideological target, part of a larger claim that the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, has made repeatedly, that Ukraine does not exist as a real nation, as a natural part of Russia.
Dr. Staples also spoke on how the sanctions being placed by multiple countries could hinder Russia, but he says that they need to be fully committed.
So in the short term, I don't think it can halt the attack on Ukraine. That's going to happen. In the longer term, it depends a lot on the willingness of Western countries to hit Russia extremely hard, to do more than just kind of lip service to sanctions, to take the most extreme possible sanctions, including ending all dealings with the major Russian international banks. So if you make it hurt in ways that you can, and that means a really severe regime of sanctions, I think this can have genuine impact in Russia.
The invasion doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon, so as we learn more, we will continue to update you. And when we come back, we have your local headlines. We'll be back.
We've been down there. You gotta do the same. All you do is sign. So don't get nervous. Sign your name. For selective service. It takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. For selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down to the post office.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time. Just sign on the line at the post office. Selective Service.
Jumping into our top local stories, with many schools in New York State in the middle of their midwinter break, Governor Kathy Hochul has announced that she wants all students to take a rapid test on the day they return to classes. This is to further examine how she will approach addressing mask mandates in schools. However, some Western New York school districts feel she should have already lifted the mask mandate and leave the options up to the schools. Niagara Falls Superintendent Mark Laurie said, quote, "It's time to let it go. It's time to let it be a local decision. We're going to let it go as soon as possible. We'll do it in the middle of the day if that's the case," end quote. Total cases among children and adults in 38 public school districts in Erie and Niagara counties were averaging 72 cases a day in mid-February. This rate has not been that low since last fall. Governor Hochul said that there is a, quote, "strong possibility that she will lift the mandates by March 7th.
The mother of the child who was stabbed at McKinley High School on February 9th now has plans to sue Buffalo Public Schools and their superintendent, Dr. Kreiner Cash. 14-year-old victim Sergio Jeter currently remains in critical condition at Ochi Children's Hospital. Ariel Austin, the boy's mother, has two lawyers, John Elmore and Kristen Elmore Garcia. Austin's lawyers have cited Cash and the Buffalo Public Schools as, quote, negligent actors for failing to provide a safe and violence-free school environment, end quote. It was also described that the school's administrators were alerted of an escalating conflict among the students that they could have prevented, but they failed to respond. On behalf of the district's general counsel, Kayron Barnes said, quote, "In light of this being a litigation matter, the district has no comment at this time," end quote.
After losing her son and husband to the same cause, gun violence, Toni Nelson chose to take matters into her own hands. She worked to turn her trauma and grief into a passion that could help save other people's lives. 8 years ago on this past Tuesday, Nelson lost her son, and 28 years before that, Nelson lost her husband. Nelson worked with organizations like Rising Up Rochester and Pathland, two which have a focus on helping troubled teens. Nelson said, quote, "Once I was able to get my head in the game, I sought out people in the same situation," end quote. Nelson started her own foundation called M Squared, named after the two Michaels in her life that she had lost. She said, quote, "It's a foundation for peace and social change, working with young people starting at the age of 5 and 6 and up to 10 and 12. Just see that waiting until their teenage years is a little bit too late, end quote. She is also the programming director for 585 SNUG, which is a violence prevention program working on reducing gun violence by working specifically with high-risk individuals. Nelson works daily on trying to limit gun violence in Rochester. In the near future, M Squared will be giving out its first scholarship to a local Franklin High School student.
The Oneida Sheriff's Office has made an arrest off the FBI's 2021 Top 10 Most Wanted in an investigation that went as far as Florida. The arrest was made on 32-year-old Joseph A. Stiles of Utica on a charge of criminal possession of a controlled substance in the third degree. He has been wanted since October 2020, and the case was cold until January 2022. In January, they received notice that Stiles had left the state and he was hiding out in Florida. He was then taken into custody on February 1st by a multi-crew task force and was extradited back to New York on February 19th. Stiles is currently being held in the Oneida County Correctional Facility and is awaiting arraignment in the Oneida County Court.
Multiple events are now returning to Buffalo after years of hiatus due to COVID. First off, even though Major League Baseball may not be able to start during opening day, you'll still be able to see pro athletes compete on Salem Field this spring. The Micah Hyde charity softball team announced it will return this year on Sunday, May 15th. The event took a 3-year hiatus, but once again, Hyde will be joined by multiple Buffalo Bills, current and past athletes, as well as coaches for the event that raised over $40,000 back in 2019. Last time around, the Bills defense beat the Bills offense by 1 run, and Josh Allen won the home run derby. Tickets are either $10 to $23 depending on the section, but you can purchase a front row seat for $85 that comes with a mini Bills helmet that is signed by Hyde.
Next up, for music fans, the WYRK Taste of Country concert is once again returning to Salem Field on June 17th after being canceled for years because of COVID-19. Tickets will be going on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Pre-sale tickets will range from $45 to $75, while general admission will be $85. The headliners performing this year will be Tim McGraw, Billy Currington, Walker Hayes, and Osborne Nash.
And lastly, Ellicottville's Mardi Gras Parade is returning after its 2-year hiatus due to the pandemic. Brian McFadden, the executive director of the Ellicottville Chamber of Commerce, says, quote, "With vaccination rates increasing and mandates being lifted, we are excited to bring back the Mardi Gras Parade," end quote. The parade will start at Katie's Cafe and finish at the gazebo with the crowning of a king and queen, decided by spectator applause. The king and queen will be invited to lead the Winter Carnival costume parade down the Mardi Gras slope at Holiday Valley for the following day. To register for the parade, you must complete the online application by March 1st.
Are you wishing to go to your favorite place every day this summer? Well, it turns out that you can. Darien Lake in Corfu, New York is hiring for 1,500 positions in 2022. There will be a hiring event on March 5th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Darien Lake is looking to hire ride operators, lifeguards, security, and positions in food service, games, retail, camping, and more. According to Six Flags, employee benefits include competitive wages for workers 14 and up with a starting pay of $13.20 per hour. For employers that are 18 and over, pay starts at $15 an hour with no prior experience. Benefits also include in-park discounts, unlimited park admission, team member events, and so much more. Darien Lake will also be hosting a series of concerts including Thomas Rhett, Morgan Wallen, Jason Aldean, and Big Time Rush.
Buffalo-born actress Charlene Amora will be starring in a new Christmas movie that's supposed to premiere this year. Romance on Ice, directed by Fred Olin Ray, is filming in Amora's hometown of East Aurora this week. The young actress will be playing an Olympic figure skater's best friend. Amora said, quote, "It's a Christmas holiday movie with a romantic story, an Olympic champion skater and real-life prince," end quote. Romance on Ice will debut this Christmas season on a cable network that is yet to be determined. Now, when we come back, we have your national headlines, including the verdict of the Ahmaud Arbery case. We'll be back.
Different kinds of pipes that freeze for different reasons. To protect yours, wrap insulation around exposed pipes. If a hard freeze is forecast, open the doors under sinks and let the hot and cold faucets trickle overnight. Leave the heat on if you're leaving town. Following these steps can get you through cold weather on a high note.
During World War II, recycling was a way of life on the home front. Rubber, tin cans, cooking grease, paper, scrap iron, those and many more items were recycled for the war effort. It was a time of crisis, The nation desperately needed new sources of raw materials. Millions of Americans were united in a common cause. Today we face a crisis no less real, but of another sort. A solid waste crisis that can no longer be ignored. We are simply running out of places to put our garbage. With your help, we can meet this new challenge as well. Source separation and recycling will save valuable space in our landfills and help protect our drinking water and the air we breathe. Together, we Americans can win the war against waste. Start recycling today.
A federal jury found 3 men guilty in the case of Ahmaud Arbery. Arbery, who was a 25-year-old black man, was chased down and shot by 3 white men who suspected that he committed a series of break-ins in their neighborhood. Rather, Arbery was simply going for a jog. After only 4 hours of deliberation, the jury found Gregory McMichael, his son Travis McMichael, and their neighbor William Bryan guilty on all counts. They will be serving life in prison, and the McMichaels will not be given the opportunity for parole. Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, said, quote, "Ahmaud will continue to rest in peace, but now he will rest in power," end quote. She added that she will never fully heal. Attorney General Merrick Garland explained that the Department of Justice won't hesitate to act when individuals commit violent acts motivated by hate. Cooper Jones said, quote, "They gave us a sense of small victory. We as a family will never get victory because Ahmaud is gone forever," end quote.
The controversial Florida amendment labeled as "Don't Say Gay" bill by LGBTQ advocates currently in legislature has been withdrawn. That amendment would have required teachers or the principal to disclose to parents within a 6-week range if their child said anything about identifying as LGBTQ. Advocates have fought back against what they call the Don't Say Gay bill at the state capitol, with protesters calling it, quote, "dangerous and bigoted," end quote. The efforts came as GOP lawmakers continue to advance the policy which bans discussion of sexual orientation or gender identity in elementary classrooms. Republicans have said the bill protects parents' rights and keeps them in charge of a student's education, records, and well-being at the school. The floor debate on the bill is expected to start later on Tuesday.
Come Election Day, Biden's decision on the federal student loan payment deadline can inevitably affect him negatively. May 1st is the deadline, but many debt relief advocates say that pausing the loan payments is and will continue to be in favor of voters. According to WIVB, quote, "Biden previously made promises to students and alumni of many colleges and universities across the nation," end quote. After not following through with legislative promises made by Biden, resuming the allotment of payments could cause a negative turnout for Biden. However, some Democrats worry that continuing the pause on student loans could clue into Americans that the pandemic has yet to be over and will be a continuous reminder that voters that inflation is still going to continue.
This past Tuesday, 2 Black Hawk helicopters crashed a few hundred yards from a Utah ski resort during a training exercise. The helicopters were practicing the Utah Forest Service land just outside the boundaries of the ski resort, about 28 miles from Salt Lake City. Skiers reported hearing a loud thud similar to the ones the resort uses to set off avalanches, but when they saw the helicopter rotors fly out from a huge cloud of the snow. Fortunately, no one inside the helicopters or any of the skiers in the area were injured.
On Tuesday, analysts warned motorists in California to hold onto their wallets as gas prices rise to new record-breaking levels. According to AAA, the state averages $4.74 a gallon on Tuesday, which is about $1.20 more than the national average. Patrick DeHaan, the head of petroleum analysis at GasBuddy, says that the cost of gas is likely to cross the $5 a gallon threshold soon. DeHaan also said that there were several factors contributing to the price rise, the biggest one being the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which has affected oil prices globally. State Governor Gavin Newsom has proposed a halt to the scheduled gas tax increase, but has not received support from Democratic members of the state legislature, the Associated Press reported.
Popular children's TV show Arthur has come to an end after 25 years on air. In July, PBS announced it would be canceling the beloved cartoon. They have yet to specify a reason, although many believe the cancellation was due to declining ratings. The show's creator, Kathy Walsh, stated that, quote, "To me, it felt evergreen, like it was never going to end, but it did end," end quote. Arthur aired its series finale on Sunday with an episode titled All Grown Up, which sees our main characters grow up and are successful. The show was adored by many throughout its long run, and we are all thankful for the memories that it brought us. It will continue to live in the hearts of everyone who watched it. Now, when we come back, Sarah joins us once again for a big Fredonia sports update and has an update on the Buffalo Sabres. Then we're joined by a new weather reporter here on News 11. Stay tuned.
We're ready for you.
Pneumococcal.
If you're 65 or older, like me, you're at greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia, even if you're healthy. People 65 plus are over 10 times more likely to land in the hospital for pneumococcal pneumonia than those 18 to 49. And it's important we all do what we can to stay healthy. So, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination.
Hope. Where are you hiding? I search for you in the seconds, the minutes of each and every day. Hear me as I call out to you. Take my hand. Lift me up as I lift up others. Welcome me home, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, Son, Daughter. Hear us now. Alone we stood, divided we fell. No longer. Now we choose to make the connection. Our new mission lies within. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
16 is such a significant age. I promise to help protect my eldest daughter during this exciting time in her life. Teens are at an increased risk for meningococcal disease, a rare, potentially deadly bacterial infection. But half haven't received the CDC recommended second dose of the MenACWY vaccine at 16. I want to help change that. Take your shot against meningitis. Talk to your teen's doctor about the MenACWY vaccine and ask about MenB. Visit the16vaccine.org.
Well, Sarah, we've had a lot of SUNYAC action in the past week. What can you tell us about all of the postseason excitement?
Well, Chloe, Fredonia Sports brought a lot of action this week as the finale of the SUNYAC swim meet concluded last Thursday. Michaela Palawi made it onto the medal stand for the final time in her career, coming in third for the 1650 freestyle, and fellow teammate Rachel Mayu followed in fourth. In the final standings, the women's team came in 7th overall, while the men's team came in 9th. The Blue Devils men's hockey team pulled out a win against the 11th-ranked Oswego State in a thrilling 5-4 match, leading to Matt Litmansky being named the SUNYAC Hockey Athlete of the Week. The day following, the Devils lost to SUNY Cortland 1-3, but will have a rematch this coming Saturday, February 26th at 7 p.m., in hopes to come out on top. Finally, the Fredonia women's basketball team battled the number 3 seed Geneseo in the quarterfinal matchup, but after a really close game, the Blue Devils lost 44-40, unfortunately ending the girls' season. McKenna Nekwadowik, Katie Pitcher, and Mary Coulton were standouts in the game, and while the upset will hover for a while, the team looks to grow and have a successful season next year. In national sports, the Buffalo Sabres have lost four straight games to the Ottawa Senators, Colorado Avalanche, Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Montreal Canadiens. In every game, the Sabres were outscored by multiple goals, and they were shut out by the Canadiens just yesterday. The highlight of the week, however, came from Tage Thompson scoring a hat trick against the Avalanche. The Sabres will travel and play the St. Louis Blues tomorrow at 8 p.m. in hopes to pull out an upset against the 2019 Stanley Cup winners. And finally, the United States women's national soccer team has reached a proposed settlement in its class action equal pay lawsuit that was placed against the U.S. Soccer Federation. The Federation agreed to pay a sum of $22 million in back pay to the players. They will also be putting $2 million into a fund that will support the women's national team's players' post-career goals and charitable efforts. It was also promised that in all friendlies and tournaments, including the World Cup, the Federation will provide an equal pay rate between the women's and men's national teams.
Well, thank you for the update, Sarah. A little sad to hear about the Sabres, but you know what?
Yeah.
They're trying.
They're trying. They're putting effort in there.
Yeah. Well, we have a new reporter doing the weather today. We're very excited to welcome Hunter. Hunter, can you give us some weather updates, please?
Hi, not my most ideal weather forecast for the first time in doing it, but Chautauqua County is actually in winter weather advisory for all night tonight until Friday. It is not until the start of the weekend. Will be clear. Sorry. That's right, we're going to get a good amount of snow between tonight and all day tomorrow. Tonight's temperature is going to get right down below that freezing point of 28 degrees. The wind is going to be pretty noticeable and will drop down to feel like about 16 degrees. Tomorrow is when we be a bit of a snowfall until predicted totals anywhere from 10 inches. Temperatures will be pretty similar today to high only getting to 28 degrees. I will only say that Saturday will be a nicer day, and I'll see you in the next forecast.
And when we come back, we have 2 more odd news stories and 1 more look at the weekend forecast. We'll be right back.
Different kinds of pipes that freeze for different reasons. To protect yours, wrap insulation around exposed pipes. If a hard freeze is forecast, open the doors under sinks and let the hot and cold faucets trickle overnight. Leave the heat on if you're leaving town. Following these steps can get you through cold weather on a high note.
During World War II, recycling was a way of life on the home front. Rubber, tin cans, cooking grease, paper, scrap iron, those and many more items were recycled for the war effort. It was a time of crisis. The nation desperately needed new sources of raw materials. Millions of Americans were united in a common cause. Today we face a crisis no less real, but of another sort. A solid waste crisis that can no longer be ignored. We are simply running out of places to put our garbage. With your help, we can meet this new challenge as well. Source separation and recycling will save valuable space in our landfills and help protect our drinking water and the air we breathe. Together, we Americans can win the war against waste. Start recycling today.
This past Tuesday was February 22nd of 2022, and it was a widely celebrated day. It was especially a celebration for the parents of Judah Grace Spear. Judah's parents were already celebrating their daughter's birth because the mother went through treatments for Hodgkin's lymphoma, which makes chances of fertility unlikely. So the new parents were savoring that their daughter was born on the 22nd day of the second month of 2022 at 2:22 in delivery room 2.
That is a lot of twos.
Yeah, that was hard to read.
All right. Well, Laura Noonan of Sydney, Australia has won herself 2 different Guinness World Records at the age of 16. Noonan took on the record for most Marvel characters identified in 1 minute, and she correctly named 88 of them, beating the previous world record of 55. She did not take the time to celebrate though, however, as soon as after this, she took on the record for naming the most cartoon characters in 1 minute. She correctly named 102 of them, nearly doubling the previous record of 60. Noonan says, quote, "I started reading about all the incredible achievements of the people around the world, and I became inspired to become a world record holder," end quote. She has plans to add more world record titles to the list. She just hasn't decided on which ones to take on yet.
You know who could do that really well? Name all the Marvel characters. We have our general manager, resident Marvel superfan expert, Sarah Gorton. She could definitely do it.
Yeah, she
could do it. She could beat it.
The 2 things she knows the most in this world are Bills and Marvel. So if it was name all Bills, I think she could get 2 world records. I think it would be name all the Bills players in the fastest amount of time, and then also just name all the Marvel characters. Like, I will give her credit with those 2. All right, well, so like he mentioned last time, the weather for Saturday looks pretty appealing. So I will toss it to Hunter for his second weather update. Hunter, what can you tell us?
So like I said last time, Saturday is definitely the nicest day we have this weekend, purely from a precipitation standpoint. We shouldn't see any snow all day, and the sun should be shining periodically throughout the day in well temperatures, and definitely be on the colder side at about 20 degrees. And it'll feel worse because wind gust is meant to hit around 80 miles an hour. Sunday is looking like a hit or miss day. We will have a good chance to get scattered snow throughout the majority of the day. Temps will be right in the freezing temp of 32 degrees, but it cold, wind, in some way sleet as well. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Hunter. Always happy to see a new face around here at WNYF, and hopefully you'll do some more weather reporting for us soon. And that does do it for News 11 this week.
As always, thank you so much to our crew and to everyone watching at home. We'll be back next week. Have a great night.